the territory of the Kukis in Myanmar, a struggle for survival and freedom. The Kuki people, indigenous to the rugged hills and valleys of what is now Myanmar, particularly the Sagaing region and Upper Chin State, have a rich and ancient cultural history that stretches back centuries. Their homeland, known as Zalengam, meaning land of freedom, has been the heart of their civilization. Yet this territory has faced repeated encroachment by external forces, both foreign and domestic. The Kuki people's long-standing connection to this land and their distinct cultural identity has been tested time and again, but they continue to fight for the survival of their people, their culture, and their homeland. Today, the Kuki National Army of Burma, KNA Burma, stands as a central figure in the defense of their rights. This organization was formed to safeguard the Kuki people's lands, preserve their culture, and maintain their territorial integrity. But the Kuki people's struggle is not only one of physical survival, but also of cultural preservation and autonomy in the face of both internal and external threats. The battle for Zalengam is not just a conflict over land. It is a fight to protect the very identity of the Kuki people, whose way of life has been continually threatened by colonialism, ethnic conflict, and political oppression. The historical roots of Kuki struggles. The Kuki people's history in the Sagaing region and Upper Chin State stretches back to ancient times, although their historical roots also extend to other areas of South Asia, including present-day Northeast India and the eastern Chittagong Hill tracts in Bangladesh. Historically, the Kuki people lived as a unified group in the hills of this broader region, which spans across international borders and encompasses parts of India, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. They have long maintained a distinct cultural identity, defined by their language, customs, and connection to the land they inhabit. Their homeland, Zalengam, was once a unified and independent land where the Kukis lived freely, unencumbered by the political forces that sought to divide and conquer. This unity, however, was eventually threatened by the forces of colonization. In the 19th century, the British Empire, in its bid to control South Asia, began to encroach upon Kuki lands. As was common in colonial regimes, the British employed a divide-and-rule strategy, splitting ethnic groups and dividing territories to weaken any unified resistance. The Kuki people were among those affected by this division. Their land, once a unified territory, was divided into 3 countries: India, Bangladesh, and Myanmar. The British used this division as a punitive measure after the Kuki Rebellion of 1917 to 1919, a large-scale uprising against British colonial rule. The Kuki Rebellion was one of the earliest demonstrations of Kuki resistance to foreign domination. The Kukis, led by their traditional leaders, fought to preserve their autonomy and resist British encroachment. However, the rebellion was crushed, and the consequences were devastating. As a punishment, the British divided the Kuki people into separate territories, effectively breaking their unity. This forced fragmentation of the Kuki people contributed to their weakening as a collective ethnic group, leaving them scattered across 3 countries and leaving them vulnerable to further external threats. The rise of the Kuki National Army of Burma, KNA Burma. Following the colonial period, the Kukis found themselves increasingly marginalized and oppressed. In Myanmar, where they had once been a prominent ethnic group, the Kukis became a minority, overshadowed by larger and more dominant communities such as the Burman majority and the Chin people. The Myanmar government's policies toward minority ethnic groups often ignored the interests of the Kukis, which led to increasing political and social marginalization. In the face of these challenges, the Kuki National Army of Burma, KNA Burma, was established as a resistance force to defend the Kuki people's land, culture, and autonomy. The KNA Burma was created to fight for the survival of the Kuki people in their ancestral lands in Myanmar, primarily in the eastern part of Zalengam, which corresponds to the Sagaing region and Upper Chin State. The KNA Burma's primary objective is to protect the Kuki people from both the internal threats posed by Myanmar's military regime and external threats from insurgent groups seeking to dominate the Kuki territories. The KNA Burma, a paramilitary organization, has played a crucial role in defending the Kuki homeland. Through both military resistance and political advocacy, the KNA Burma has sought to ensure the survival of Kuki culture, traditions, and language. The organization's ultimate goal is to secure self-determination for the Kuki people and protect their right to live freely in their ancestral homeland, free from external domination. Additionally, the KNA Burma works in coordination with the People's Defense Forces, PDF, of Myanmar, which aims to bring democracy and civil rights to the entire country, supporting the fight for a free and democratic Myanmar where all ethnic groups, including the Kuki, can live in peace and equality. Conflicts with Indian-based terrorist groups. In recent decades, the Kuki people have faced not only the oppression of the Myanmar government, but also threats from insurgent groups based in neighboring India. These groups, including the Meitei Liberation Army, MLA, the People's Liberation Army, PLA, and the National Socialist Council of Nagalim, Nscn, have sought to extend their influence into Kuki-inhabited areas of Myanmar. While these insurgent groups have their origins in the separatist movements of India, particularly in the northeastern states of Manipur and Nagaland, their activities have spilled over the border into Myanmar, where they have targeted Kuki communities. These insurgent groups, backed by external actors like China, have attempted to destabilize the region in pursuit of their own territorial ambitions. The MLA and PLA, for instance, have long fought for the independence of Manipur and have attempted to push their influence into Kuki-dominated regions of Myanmar. The Nscn has similarly sought to assert control over areas once inhabited by the Kukis. These groups view the Kuki people as obstacles to their territorial expansion and have clashed with the KNA Burma in attempts to dominate Kuki land. Despite being outnumbered and often outgunned, the Kuki National Army of Burma has fought fiercely to protect their homeland from these external threats. The KNA Burma's primary objective is not to engage in the territorial disputes of India or Bangladesh, but rather to defend the Kuki territories in Myanmar, particularly in the Sagaing region and Upper Chin State. The KNA Burma has repeatedly expressed that its struggle is focused solely on the preservation of Kuki culture and land within Myanmar's borders, and it refuses to be drawn into the political and military conflicts of neighboring countries. The role of alliances. Kachin and Chin's support. Although the Kuki people have faced threats from insurgent groups, they have not been without allies. In Myanmar, the Kuki National Army of Burma has received support from other ethnic groups that face similar challenges. The Kachin people, for example, have long fought for greater autonomy and self-determination in northern Myanmar. The Kachin Independence Army, KIA, a major military force in the region, has provided support to the KNA Burma in their resistance against both the Myanmar military and insurgent groups that threaten the Kuki territories. Similarly, the Chin people, who inhabit areas of western Myanmar, have been a crucial ally of the Kuki people in their struggle for autonomy. The Chin National Army, CNA, and the Chin National Front, CNF, have worked alongside the KNA Burma to resist the forces of oppression and promote self-determination for ethnic minorities in Myanmar. These alliances have been vital in strengthening the Kuki resistance, enabling the KNA Burma to maintain a defense against larger, better-equipped adversaries. The shared struggle for autonomy among these ethnic groups has fostered a sense of solidarity that transcends ethnic boundaries. The Kachin, Chin, and Kuki peoples have come to recognize that their fight is not only about protecting their own lands, but also about resisting a common oppressor. The Myanmar military junta and the various insurgent groups backed by external powers. Together, they form a united front against forces that seek to destroy their way of life. The cultural struggle. Protecting the Kuki identity. The Kuki people's struggle is not solely about military defense. It is also a fight to preserve their unique cultural identity. The Kukis have a rich and diverse cultural heritage, including their language, religious practices, customs, and social systems. However, their culture has faced significant threats over the years. The Kuki language, for instance, has been marginalized, and many younger members of the community are abandoning traditional practices in favor of more dominant cultural influences. The fragmentation of the Kuki people into 3 different countries, India, Myanmar, and Bangladesh, has only compounded the challenges to their cultural survival. In Myanmar, the Kuki have been overshadowed by larger, more powerful ethnic groups, and their culture has been at risk of being swallowed up by these dominant forces. The Myanmar government's policies toward ethnic minorities have often prioritized the interests of the Burman majority, leaving the Kukis, along with other ethnic groups, marginalized and culturally endangered. The KNA Burma has made it a priority to protect and promote Kuki culture, ensuring that the traditions, customs, and language of the Kuki people are not lost to history. Through education, cultural initiatives, and advocacy, the KNA Burma works to ensure that future generations of Kukis can maintain a strong connection to their heritage and their land. Conclusion: the ongoing struggle for freedom and self-determination. The Kuki people have faced centuries of oppression, from colonial rule to modern-day military repression and insurgent group interference. The division of their lands by the British, the subsequent marginalization of the Kuki people in Myanmar, and the ongoing threats from both the Myanmar military and foreign-backed insurgent groups have placed the Kuki people in a constant state of struggle. Despite these challenges, the Kuki people remain determined to defend their homeland, their culture, and their identity. The Kuki National Army of Burma, KNA Burma, stands as the primary force defending the Kuki people's rights to self-determination, territorial integrity, and cultural survival. While the KNA Burma faces a difficult and uncertain future, the resistance of the Kuki people remains a testament to their resilience and unwavering commitment to preserving their way of life. Through their collaboration with the People's Defense Forces, PDF, in the broader fight for Myanmar's democracy, the KNA Burma hopes to see a country where all ethnic groups, including the Kuki people, can live in peace and harmony. The international community must recognize the plight of the Kuki people and support their right to live freely in their ancestral homeland. The Kuki people's struggle is not just a fight for land, but for the very essence of who they are as a people. In the face of overwhelming odds, the Kuki people continue to resist, determined to protect their heritage and secure a future of peace and freedom for generations to come. Disclaimer: videos used in this video are not owned by Zalengam Media and are used under YouTube's guidelines. Please consider subscribing to Zalengam Media for further updates and information on the Kuki people's ongoing struggle.